At the time of birth, we see this little child with this new body organs. But two things are not new there. The body is new, but the soul is old, and the mind is also old. When soul starts its journey, mind start walking with it. Mind is like a acid which you cannot leave. For example, as a human, if I go somewhere, I may leave my clothes, I may leave my phone, my books and everything. I cannot leave my body. If I have to go from Delhi to Bombay, no matter if my cloth, my books, my other things, if I have them or not, but definitely I will have my body. The same way, soul always have mind with it. It may have the body or may not have, but it always have mind with it. So mind and soul, these are the two old things the child has. To understand human psychology, we have to first understand how the child is born. Okay. What happens at the time of birth of that child? From the previous lives, whatever good or bad the child did or experienced, that all information is stored in the mind, in the subconscious mind, in form of karma. Now the child is in the womb of mother and is completely dependent on the mother for everything, for food, for breathe, for everything. The child completely depend on mother. Whereas at the time when the child comes out of the womb, now child has to breathe on its own, have to eat on its own, the eyes, it will see everything, all the body organs start functioning. So at the time when you take birth, when you come out of your mother's womb, that is the time when your mind, the mind was active there when you were in the womb. You were learning everything from your mother. From her experiences, you were learning. But by that time, you were safe inside your mother. She was your protection. But when you come out of the womb, now you are completely dependent on yourself. So God, He connects your mental energies. Mind is a software, the energies. So God aligns those energies with the universal energies so that you can properly function in the environment, in this world, in this physical world. So your mind, which had the past life memories, past life karma, samskara stored in it, gets connected to the universal movement, the universal energies. How earth is moving, how the planets around it are moving, how at your birthplace, what is the prakriti? Is it pitta dominating area? Is it a vata dominating area? Is it a kapha dominating area? What is the psychology of people around you? Those all factors, your at the birth time, when you come out of mother's womb, just for understanding sake, we take an example that God paused this whole universe. He's not actually pausing. Okay, we are just taking an example here. So just assume that at the time when you came out of mother's womb, God paused all the universe. And at that very moment, He aligned your mind with the universal moment, the universal energies. And that is Why? When a child is born, Rishi recommends us to take the snapshot of the universe. Now here, we take sun as the center. Because sun is moving on its axis, but for us, because we are moving around sun, so for us sun is stable, it is not moving. So we take sun as the center, and from its perspective we see other planets' movement, including our planet, which is Earth. So Earth becomes the ascendant for the person. Now, what event will happen in your future will depend on two factors. The first one is your past life samskara. Have you ever thought, on this big planet, why you took birth specifically on that particular city? In that city, why you were born in that particular family? With a brother or a sister, or with both? With a father in army or a father who is alcoholic? With a father who is so spiritual or with a father who is so evil? With a mother who is so emotional or who is completely emotionless? Have you thought why specifically you were born with that maternal uncle or with that paternal uncle? Everything was designed based on your past life experiences. What your soul experienced in previous lives, whatever karma, whatever lessons it has to learn in this life, at the time of birth, everything got aligned accordingly. Now, those factors will matter. You cannot just change your parents. Can you? You cannot. You cannot change your blood. You cannot change your DNA. You cannot change your this physical body. You cannot change your mind. That is all decided based on your past life karma or samskara. But the future events of your life will depend on this one factor, at what you have got at the time of birth, means your past life karma or samskara, and your decisions, your choices. Because God has given you free will, the ability to make choices for yourself. But usually what happens, that we live in the past. You think a person had a bad incident in childhood. Now you will see that his whole life the person will make decisions based on that experience in past. The same way, a person who is a new person, a new child who is born in this world, makes decision or choices based on the previous life experiences. Because your conscious mind have forgot those incidents, got erased memories from the conscious mind, but in the subconscious mind, all those memories are stored. So whatever decisions you make, for example, in previous life, you behaved so badly with your partner. In this life, God wants you to learn that lesson. So when you have so many people there, for example, you are studying in college and there are 10 or 20 girls in your class, but you will specifically get attracted toward that girl who will be able to teach you the lesson you are meant to learn. Now you may say it was decided by God, but no. God did not decide that whether it will be that girl or someone else. He decided the experience you will receive. So in Vedic psychology, in the Kapi psychology or Kapi Nadi Jyotish, we specifically focus on the experience of the person, not the event or the name or the place. We focus on the experience. From where you experience? You experience from the mind. The body is not experiencing anything basically. It is the mind which is functioning. Now, whether a person, now we see a narcissistic approach. Some people are narcissistic, some are psychopath, some are sociopaths. Narcissistic and psychopath are by birth. They are born with that quality. The basic difference, we will learn them in detail in future lectures. But in short, you can understand a narcissistic person is the one who have the self-centered approach in life, but also have the kindness or regret or emotions. For example, a narcissistic may shout at you or may force you to live life as per his or her will, but they also feel bad about it, that how they torture you. Whereas a psychopath or a sociopath will not have those regret or those emotions. The shame or regret won't be there. Now, the psychopath is by birth. That is, psychopathic qualities are by birth. Based on your past life experience, you have that samskara in the subconscious which force you to become a psychopath. Whereas a sociopath is what society creates. It is created by the society, by the external experiences. So here, two things become quite important. One is that the past life incidents of the person. What was your past life journey? What were your past life experience in that journey? And the second entity we have to understand is that what is your society? What kind of people you live with? What kind of people you do friendship with? What kind of people you start relationship with? And those two factors, we will see whether you have the potential to become psychopath or sociopath or not. If you do not have the tendency, it is for good. But if you have, then we have to start working on changing that pattern. But for that, we have to first understand what you are, how you are, what are the karmas, what are the karmic lessons you have to learn. A person, when we go to psychologists, they usually cannot treat narcissistic or sociopath or psychopathic tendencies. They fail in that. Now for that, they find a solution that they give you some medicine which calm your mind and you will be sleepy. Your energy will be low, so you will behave well. But that's not the cure. A person taking the medicine for whole life is not getting cured ever. Our approach should be to cure the person, but how we cure it? By providing them the lesson quickly. See, a child will in 12 years become an engineer. But what if we find a way to give the engineering knowledge to the child in 4 years or maybe 1 year? If we find such an approach, we can give him the degree. The child will be certified as an engineer. The same way, God works on the experience and lessons of the person. A soul, a mind. The mind is such a fine product created by God that we see soul get confused with it. Soul sees its impression, the reflection in the mind. Just like you see your reflection in the mirror, soul feels like it is the mind. That's why many times we get confused. We say the soul is doing that. Soul is doing nothing there. Soul is separate. Mind is separate. Mind is doing everything. Soul is just the witness. Now, the mind, what it is doing, how it is behaving, is how or what experiences he or she has had in the previous life. How we can cure them. The best remedy works that you find such a child with such karmic nature or tendencies, and you start educating the child the lesson God wants him or her to learn. In some years, you see the child's psychological character changes. But in this condition, I am taking the worst case scenario when the person has narcissistic or psychopathic or sociopathic qualities. In that condition, it is best cured before the age of 15-16. At the age of 16, when Jupiter will be dominating, now Jupiter gets dominating in the age of 16 for all of us. That's why we get so curious. Jupiter shows the life path, the attraction toward wisdom, toward our life path, that life vision. That's why at the age of 16, usually we want to do something new, we get so curious about things, because Jupiter, it wants us to receive more and more knowledge, but it also creates an attraction toward the future, toward the life path. So we start making the mistake. Now, many people, they do this mistake, they fall in relationship. They start relationship at the age of 16. At that relationship, they get hurt so badly that that relationship defines their future life. Their whole life, in again and again, in every relationship, they behave based on their experience they had in the first relationship, which they started at the age of 16. So basically you see that life lesson, if we were able to teach to that person before the age of 16, then definitely we could have changed this future reaction. And the life path could be different for the person. And that is the basic approach of Vedic psychology. Vedic psychology has different parts here. So there are some tools which work together. First of all, the part is to understand the psychology and then to cure the psychology. Now, to understand the psychology, we use the knowledge of Kapi Nadi Jyotish. Basically, it is you know someone's birth time and date of birth and birthplace. Based on that, we see how the universal energies were affecting the native. Psychologically, we study the mind by those all data. Now we understand that in past life this was the experience you had, and in this life you have to learn this lesson. So what happened previously and what has to be done now for a better life, that we find out with the Kapi Nadi Jyotish. Now after that, we go to the cure. The cure is by three approaches basically. The first is, if those experiences, they decide you to get physical issues. Some people have by birth disease. There should be the solution. So Ayurveda and Yajna therapy becomes the cure for that. Then we talk about learning, the jnana, knowledge, receiving wisdom, the lessons. For that, we take the approach of classes, that you take different classes, you read Upanishad, you read Veda, you learn it under the guidance of a guru. After that, you meditate on that on knowledge. So when you meditate on something, when you think about something again and again, you start absorbing the essence of that teaching, that knowledge into the subconscious mind. And that is how you get the lesson you need to learn in this life, and you get free from that karmic foundation. The third cure, that is by doing different actions. For example, in past life you tortured female or females. Now, in this life, what if you start serving them? What if you start guiding them? In previous life, you killed someone or many people. Now, it became a regret, a shame in the subconscious mind. Now, what if in this life you start helping people who are having incurable disease and you start curing them? Giving life. You took life in previous life and this life you start giving life. That way you clear those karma. And these approach are what helps you to get a better psychology. You don't have to take those medicines doctors are giving. You need the cure. You don't need to just live with the disease and just take some drugs. You don't need some drugs. You need right cure, the correct cure for the issue. And that is the journey of Vedic psychology.